sing it. I'm not ready. But anyway,
I tell you what, you still sound like 1,000% better than me.
oh, you're way too kind. Maybe we should start a group together.
Here, I'll sing you one real quick. You work 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da.
I love that song. I when I was a machinist, I used to get running a machine. Sometimes you run one part for like 10 hours, and you're only taking one cut. So instead of falling asleep, I would sing that song.
Right. Tennessee Ernie Ford. I remember it well.
Yep. Oh, did you know him?
No. Not one of the ones in my posse.
In your repertoire?
Right, no. Well, then I went back to Studio 3. As a matter of fact, I went back to Studio 3 because Skitch Henderson, who was the Tonight Show orchestra leader, was the guy who owned that studio. And it was a little townhouse on East 57th Street and Lexington Avenue. I don't know if anybody knows where Hammaker Schlemmers is, but it's on 57th Street. It was right across the street from that.
Well, I've never been to New York, but I recognize the street name. So
it's about 3 blocks east of Tiffany's.
Okay.
That's and Central Park. Central Park is right near the south end of Central Park.
Well, I couldn't even afford to even look at the door at Tiffany's. So.
Right. Well, I had a friend there actually who was one of the family of Tiffany's, and I remember going over there one day and seeing John behind the counter, and we sat there talking, and there are nothing but diamond bracelets in this showcase. And there were plenty of people around the place. And John said, here, check this out. And he opens up the case and he pulls out this diamond bracelet that says $250,000 on it. And as he pulled it out, with all these people walking by, all of a sudden I realized that the walls, I don't know if you ever saw, was it Flash Gordon and the Clay People, where the walls are all rock and all of a sudden you see people emanate out of the walls. Oh, yeah. Well, that was like the security in this room, this Tiffany's outlet. Wow. And all of a sudden there were 15 guys perking up saying, okay, John's got the $250,000 bracelet out, which blew my mind. And then he puts it on my wrist. And this electrifying thing happened to my whole arm. And I realized that diamonds have an amazing quality. There was a reason why people go crazy about diamonds. Anyway, back to
I know diamonds are goddesses' best friends.
Huh?
I said yeah. Diamonds are goddesses' best friends.
Yeah, you would have liked being with me for that one. Although I had to leave it. I wasn't able to take it along with me. The music business hasn't been that good to me. Anyway, so I went back to Studio 3, and Skitch wanted to, at some point, a couple of years, he asked me to come back there to work because Dave Sarsu, who was my mentor there, who was the Ampex representative, the East Coast.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of room noise from you now.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know what just started up, but it's all.
You're still. Is it better?
Getting a little better, not much. There we go.
Yeah, it's nice now. Huh? Still sneaking into it. Anyway, I'll try to keep telling the story. So.
Oh yeah, please do.
So I came back to Studio 3, to this studio. It was called Studio 3 because it was owned by Skitch Henderson, who was, most people don't remember Skitch Henderson, but he was the Tonight Show orchestra leader. a lot of people, some people remember Doc Severinsen, the trumpet player on that. But that was, Skitch was his boss originally, and then when Skitch left, Doc took over. And we did a lot of commercials there. So I worked with all the Tonight Show Orchestra guys doing television commercials and jingles and things like that. Yoo-Hoo commercials and Steinway piano commercials and things.
Wow.
And so I started producing there, and I got a partner, and we started building a record label. And then it sort of turned it into vinyl a little bit. Has anybody been watching vinyl?
Oh, what an excellent show.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
My partner was kind of like the guy, the main character. And I was like his jerk partner. You know, I was still young and pretty naive then. I didn't really know what was going on. And long story short, I lost the whole studio one night when I walked in, and the place was full of a bunch of gangsters with shoulder holsters and cigars, and I had to sign away the entire studio. So that led to me eventually, I had, during that time, gotten a deal with Epic Records, so I was producing a group on the Epic label, which was a part of Columbia Records. So, and when you were signed to Columbia Records, you had to record in their studio. So I was producing the group in Columbia Records, and my engineer said, "Why don't you get a job here, engineering? You know how to do this stuff." And I really didn't want to work there. It was kind of bureaucratic and pretty clinical, and lots of bright lights and white walls. You know, nobody was smoking pot or anything, and it was just
no fun at all then, huh?
It was not, it was a pretty straight place, very clinical. But I went for the audition anyway, and the manager was pretty impressed with my talents as an engineer and as an editor. And during the interview, they had prepared some tape for me to edit. And we continued to talk, and I just sat there while we were talking at a very low volume. I just was scrubbing the tape, and I spliced the tape together, and the studio manager said to me, "Well, let's go. We got to go, so could you do the edit?" And I said, "Oh, I did it already." And he said to me, he says, "No." He said, "Don't fool around. We have to go do the edit." And I said, "No, I'm not fooling around. I did do the edit." And I rewound the tape machine, and I played back the tape. And he flipped out. He jumped up from his seat and went over to the machine. And he looked at the splice. He flipped it over on one side and the other side. He looked at the edit, rewound the tape again, played it again. And I was pretty good at editing. I had been doing a lot of home editing for years. And with all the Steinway commercials, I must have done thousands of edits.
Right.
So... And I used to work at 3 3/4 inches per second tape, which is really slow. And when you're working at professional speeds of 4 times that, I used to say you could actually throw the razor blade from across the room while the tape was playing and make the splice,
Right. Well, we just added David Martinez to the call. Hello, David. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Say hi to Jim Reeves and Goddess.
Hello, Jim Reeves and Goddess.
Hi,
Hello.
Dave. Is
How y'all
it David
doing?
or Dave?
David, whatever you want to call me, it's your call.
Okay, well, I just wanted to call you what you like.
Hey, Dave, I never did get that email, brother.
Oh, I sent it to you.
Yeah, I never did get it, brother. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
That's
We're
okay.
Just,
It's okay.
We're just going to... Hey, this show is basically based on getting to know the person anyway, more so. Kind of the behind the music type thing. But, yeah, sorry, I just didn't receive it. I don't know what's going on.
Interesting.
So, maybe, you can send it to me, and we can put it in later on.
Yeah, I already put in a call to Cindy, so she'll send you some tracks, and I'll get you the rest of that new record. So it's
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Now I don't know if you know who Jim Reeves is or not, so we're listening to his stories, and
I've heard.
yeah, he
Well, we're
is.
just running down a little bit of my career. I guess I don't know what else to talk about. I could tell you about how I drilled a couple of holes in the wall to hang a picture up today, but
Oh, you're not.
that actually is more a
Hey,
sense
Dave.
of accomplishment sometimes than working on the computer.
No, you're not. You're not hanging up pictures. I've seen you're hanging up gold and platinum albums. That's what you're hanging up back there.
There you go.
Well, they have a way of sort of hanging themselves up there. That's the nice thing about gold records is you don't have to do a lot about it.
Well, I
Yeah.
figured they'd be kind of heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around so many people and done so many things, and yet I have almost no pictures of me with anybody. You know, I can just jump to a fun story that I was working with Al Cooper at A&R Studios. I don't know if everybody knows who Al Cooper was, but Al Cooper was the original keyboard player and
I'm aware.
lead singers of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which was the first big band rock and roll record out there. I think they started the big band before Chicago and everybody. Anyway, we were doing some sessions, and Al says to me, well, Jimmy, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I gave the studio time to Denny Cordell because George Harrison wrote a song for Joe Cocker, and we want to bring Joe in and try it. And I said, oh, okay. So the next day, the band comes in, Denny Cordell comes in, and it might have been, now I'm not sure about this, if this was this session or I'm mixing it up with another, but I think Michael Lang was there from Woodstock. So Denny and Michael Lang were sitting next to each other, next to me at the console. We get the track going, and then two of the roadies sort of walk Cocker in, who's a little bit out of it, and they walk him into the vocal booth. I direct him into the vocal booth, and I say, hey, Joe, and I set up the mic, give him his earphones, and I set up his mic for him, and we do the recording, did several takes of the recording, and then they left me. I always managed to get an outtake. You know, they usually would take the last reference mix, and I'd get the one before that. But anyway, so fast forward now, 6 months later, I'm at Columbia Records, and I just came down the elevator, and the elevator doors open, and there's Simon and Garfunkel leaning up against the coffee machine.
Wow.
And Columbia Records was a small building, you know, it was just 6 floors, and we all knew each other. So when I had walked into first time I met them, I walked into the control room with Roy Halley, and they turned around and they said, hey, Jim. And I was like, whoa, how do they know my name? But anyway, hey, nice to meet you guys. I just came in to get a machine, and I walked out. Anyway, so there they are in front of the coffee and Coke machines in the second floor lobby of Studio B. And Artie says to me, you know, the Beatles just sent us a pre-release 2-track 15 IPS Safety Master copy of their new album. We're going to listen to it inside. You want to come and listen to it with us? So that's how I heard Abbey Road for the first time in Studio B with them.
Right.
But the second song that comes, is it the second song? I think Here Comes, Something starts playing. And that was the song I did with Joe Cocker. And now I'm hearing it by the Beatles with Simon and Garfunkel. I said, oh, that's what Al was talking about, a song by George Harrison for Joe Cocker. So that's when I discovered what that was, put that together. So just fast forward one more time. I was the sound guy, the first sound guy for Manhattan Transfer for the first year and a half, 2 years. And we're out in the Roxy in California, my first time in LA. And after the show, we go to this party in the Valley, and I'm sitting at the fireplace, and 2 guys sit down next to me at the fireplace, this giant hearth. And the one guy is Joe Cocker. So after they finish talking, Joe turns to my direction. I turn to him and I say, Joe, I said, this